all the traumas and, trudging I had to do to get to this space. So, just me being a representation of like, it doesn't matter where you've come from, you can still, however success looks to you, right? So it doesn't have to be, oh, I'm doing Instagram lives, but whatever brings fulfillment to your life, it's not cookie cutter, right? Yes, indeed. Everybody has a role and a purpose, in terms of what they contribute. So the impact I would like to have is just for people to know that they are beautiful, they are gifted, and they can, again, have that sense of fulfillment in however that looks. So hopefully I've been facilitating that for my clients, Yeah. And I was laughing earlier when you said like, oh, you gonna curse me? I don't curse my clients out. But no, you know what?
She keeps it very real.
Sometimes they get gutter. They get New York. They get gutter with you.
No, I understand. I mean, I haven't, and I tell my clients all the time, like, if there's something that you don't agree with me on, you have a right to say that. You know what I mean? Like, what I'm saying is not necessarily Bible. You know, like you have to adjust that to how you talk, how you think, how you move. So we, have our back and forth sometimes, but again, this is just a collective space because, like I tell my clients, I'm a pit stop in your journey.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I'm not in your back pocket every day, as you know. You know what I mean? Like, I give you what I can. We facilitate these discussions, and ultimately, you have to be in the driver's seat in terms of like where you want the trajectory of your life to go. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
before you wrap this up, because you did a great job. You did a great job. I just want to let you know you did a great job. How have you guys had to shift your blackness in terms of where you guys have been from? Because for you, it's going from the DMV to New York. For you, it's Midwest to DC. And for you, it's Alabama to DC. And you guys have done well in your markets in terms of making an impact. Like, have you had to shift? Have you thought about it? Like, not just the way you talk about how you handle business, because business isn't the same across the board.
Is that to me?
It's for everyone.
Well, as personally speaking, for me, since coming from DC to New York, my blackness is in the forefront of everything I do now. Like, I come in there as a black with a capital B. I come in there as a gay man. I come in there with pronouns that are not to standards, to social standards. I come in there as a Jamaican.
Yes.
I come in there super confident and ready to just be like, I'm black, I'm gay, I'm also Jamaican.
Which is huge.
So you should probably listen to me. Because I was raised by several black women, so here I am in this room. And it's my blackness is very new to me. And because I feel like in DC, I took it for granted because I'm like from DC and I'm like having these conversations about like, oh, gentrification and the blog not the same and like, families from the hood still in the hood. But when I went to New York, I'm just like, yo, like they let you know like you are black and this is your economic status. This is where you should live. And we don't want to hear nothing else from you. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's not what life is about. Like, life is not cookie cutter. Like, I do not subscribe to this bullshit. So, so everything I do is black. Plant care, black. Meditation, black.
All my plant babies are black.
And it's so funny because I was talking to a Latino guy who went to school in the Midwest, and he just was like, and we were having this conversation about like, oh, when I like look up things, I like literally type in like plant care for like black people, like, and he's like, well, why do you have to do that? Because, it's just as good as going to like white people for it. And I'm like, I'm rooting for everybody black. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I'm rooting for everybody black. And like, if that was what you should be asking is, why do you have to do that? Right. Why isn't that already a thing that like populates in like these search engines? Why aren't black people on the forefront just like white people, Asian people, Spanish people? I actually was really offended by that. I'm just like, why can't I just? I want my financial advisors to be black. I actually would prefer him to be from the hood, who have made it out the hood and like has made some really smart investments. Because I'm like, yo, teach me, like.
Yeah, tell me about the finesse.
Yeah, so I'm just like, I'm really like, have y'all ever seen that movie when the guy's like, I'm black, yo, I'm black. I've been listening to like, I've been listening to like Queen Latifah, Soul of a Sister. Like I be going to work with like turbans on and like all black, and they be like, oh, like what's going on with you? I'm like, nothing. Like
I'm living.
I'm like everything at my desk is like black, LGBT, like very like centered as to who I am. Absolutely. And it feels really good. It feels
seat cushion, yes.
It feels really good to like be black. Like I'm out here winning.
It's amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think it's so unfortunate that I had to move away from DC to realize that, but I'm also really grateful that I did have that, and now look at where I am. Like I'm even getting my godkids like just black books about black boy joy, about their hair. I got my goddaughter these
all the children books makes me so happy.
Yeah, the representation.
Yeah. Man, I got her these beautiful flashcards of like black women from the Smithsonian Museum, and she's like, it makes me so happy that she's into it. And she's like, who's this person and what does this person do? And I'm like, this is Aretha Franklin, and now we're gonna listen to some music by Aretha Franklin.
Yes. That's nice.
Anybody else have anything to add?
No, when you said, I can't remember specifically what the question was, but like how have you had to shift your blackness in spaces? Yes, absolutely. Just even in Chicago, there's so much segregation, and
speak on that.
Oh, child.
Yeah, speak on it. I don't get to hear about this stuff unless
listen. But I mean, essentially, white folks north side, black folks south side or west side. I mean, there has been, there's been some gentrification going on in them terms of coming into our,
Of
communities.
Course.
Yes. Yeah.
Now it's hood adjacent.
Right.
That's an intersectionality point.
Hey.
But adjacent. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
The more you know.
No, you're good. No, you're good. We're here for this today.
Let me stop. Yeah. Listen, y'all caught me on a good Saturday. Okay. All right, I'm kind of off. But anyways, just for me, I've been blessed to be able to move into different sectors, right? So I would say, even within the counseling space, like where I was working, heavily populated with white folks, white administrators, white CEOs, so I didn't recognize then, because counseling has always been my path. So I've been doing this for like 10 plus years. I hardly ever strayed away from it. So, just thinking about all the little jobs that I've had. But essentially, I think it didn't hit me until, like, I really wasn't aware per se of how I was shifting my blackness in my 20s. I think it more so hit me in my 30s, where I was like, oh, I'm toning down, my tone. I'm not referencing the black shows that I watch. I have to be in the know with what they're watching to be a part of their conversations. You know what I mean? And honestly, like I said, now that I have removed myself, it's starting to come back to me more and more in terms of like how I have assimilated in those spaces, so that I could not seem threatening, so that I could look like, oh, okay, she can be, again, a part of our conversations, where we can promote her, like all these kinds of different dynamics. But, as we've been talking about, I am grateful to have those two sides of the coins, because I have more appreciation for where I am now in my agenda than I'm on now, because I'm like, okay, I can see just, again, the influential differences and environmental pressures, and I think it makes me even more relatable to my clients who are, are still in those spaces, because it's like, I get it. I understand imposter syndrome. You know what I mean? I still struggle with that. Even today, I was like,
I struggle with it so much in New
York. The video is coming, guys. The video is coming on my Instagram page. I've just been trying to work up to that. But essentially, imposter syndrome is more so, not to say everybody can experience it, but it's even more staggering for minorities. You're in spaces wherever you are, but you feel that sense of inferiority. Like, you always question yourself, like, oh, am I good enough? Did I get this promotion because I was at the right place at the right time?